Welcome to the Intensive Nursing Practicum Leadership and Management lecture. So as you transition from being a student to professional, the focus will shift from how to perform a task to how to manage care. In this high-pressure clinical environment, your ability to lead a team and manage resources is just as critical as your clinical skills. Great leadership is truly the backbone of any high-performing team, and its impact cannot be overrated. It's not just about guiding a team toward achieving goals, but also about creating an environment where motivation and innovation thrive. There are some studies which claim that a remarkable 85% of employees believe that leadership has a significant impact on their workplace engagement. This statistic underscores the importance of strong leadership in following or fostering a positive organizational culture. Imagine an 85%, this is a big number, and only 15% of them believed otherwise. Diba? When leaders effectively engage their teams, they not only enhance productivity, but also inspire creativity and loyalty. This, in turn, drives the entire organization forward, creating a domino effect of possibility and progress. In the next section, we're going to explore the key distinction between leadership and management. Okay, focusing into the specific styles that are essential for effective leadership in nursing. Leadership versus management in a clinical distinction. While often used interchangeably, these are distinct skill sets which are required for a successful nurses. Management focuses on systems and structures. It involves planning, budgeting, organizing, and staffing. A manager ensures the unit runs like clockwork, while leadership focuses on people and vision. It involves influencing, motivating, and inspiring others to achieve a common goal. Usually optimal patient outcome is our objective. What are the key concepts? Okay. In a practicum setting, you manage your patient load, but you lead the healthcare team through communication and professional presence. Okay, what are the essential leadership styles in nursing? We have transformational, which inspires and empowers staff and focuses on the big picture. This is best used in improving unit culture or implementing new evidence-based practice or EBP. The next one is transactional, that is based on a system of rewards and corrections. This is basically task-oriented, and this is best used on day-to-day operations and during checklist when they are completing checklist. Okay, the next one is democratic, which encourages group discussion and decision making. This is best used when creating a holiday schedule or solving a non-emergent workflow issues. The next one is the laissez-faire or the hands-off approach, which provides little direction. This is best used when working with a highly experienced and self-directed team of experts. And the last one is the autocratic. This is used when you need quick decisions but less team input. Okay, this one is best used during emergency situations. This requires effective leadership and management since it does not provide an opportunity for consultation with the team. Okay. Leadership style and adaptability. As we go into leadership styles, this adaptability is crucial to understand that each situation demands a unique approach. First, knowing your environment is the key. This means assessing the dynamic challenges and team members involved. By understanding the context, okay, you can tailor your leadership style effectively, and you can ensure that your decision is aligned with the needs of the team and the situation. The next one is choosing and deciding wisely, which is very important. It is not just about making a decision, but making the right one that will foster success and motivation with your team. Finally, remember that the ability to identify the best approach is what will set great leaders apart. And by being adaptable and versatile, you can navigate the complexities of any situation with confidence and poise. In the next slide, we are going to explore the core management skills which are essential for new nurses, focusing on areas like delegation, prioritization, and conflict resolution. Let's talk about core management skills for the new nurses. During your intensive practicum, you will be evaluated based on three hard management skills: the delegation, okay, the prioritization, and conflict resolution. The American Nurses Association defines delegation as the transfer of responsibility for the performance of an activity while retaining accountability for the outcome. Okay. There are 5 rights of delegation. We have the right task, the right circumstances, the right person, the right direction or communication, and the right supervision and evaluation. So you just do not delegate task. You have to assess if the task is appropriate to the person, if the circumstances calls really for delegation, if the person is right to the task, and if you have given the right direction through proper communication or clear communication, and the right supervision and evaluation. The next is prioritization. You must learn to distinguish between urgent and important. Use frameworks like Maslow's hierarchy of needs or the ABCDE or the airway breathing circulation disability exposure approach to decide which patient to see first and which comes next, followed by the others. The next one is conflict resolution. Conflicts are inevitable in high stress environment. Your aim is for a win-win, which means collaboration, rather than win-lose or competing or lose-lose, meaning avoiding. Moving forward, let's talk about emotional intelligence or EI and its importance in leadership and management. In intensive care setting, EI will be your secret weapon because it consists of 4 pillars. We have the self-awareness, the self-management, the social awareness, and the relationship management. Okay, let's discuss briefly each of this. When we say self-awareness, this means recognizing your own stress triggers during a code or a difficult shift. When we talk of self-management, this means being able to stay calm and professional when somehow a family member or a significant others is displaying a violent personality or violent reaction. Social awareness means sensing the tension in the room among the interprofessional team. And relationship management means building rapport with the healthcare providers from other units or the attending physician to streamline your care management. Understanding and harnessing emotional intelligence can greatly enhance your ability to navigate the complex and high-pressure environment of or during intensive care. It allows you to not only manage your own emotions, but also to effectively respond and influence the emotions of those around you. Okay? Here's how each pillar can play a vital role in your daily interactions. During self-awareness, by being attuned to your own emotional responses, you can prepare for challenging situations and lessen stress before it escalates. This awareness also fosters greater empathy, allowing you to better understand and support your colleagues and patients. Self-management means mastering self-control. This helps maintain professionalism even when faced with difficult or emotionally challenged or charged scenario. This can diffuse potential conflicts and inspire confidence in your leadership. Social awareness is being attuned to the emotional dynamics within your team and enables you to address issues proactively, ensuring a collaborative and supportive atmosphere. While relationship management means strong relationships are built on trust and mutual respect. By effectively managing interactions, you can foster a cooperative environment that enhances patient care and improves team cohesion. Incorporating emotional intelligence into your leadership style will not only benefit your personal growth, but also contribute to a more resilient and effective team. Professionalism and advocacy as a leader, you are the final safety check, and advocacy involves patient advocacy and self-advocacy. Okay. Patient advocacy, example of this is speaking up when a medication dose seems incorrect because you are after the welfare of the patient. Self-advocacy is recognizing when you are feeling fatigue and need to ask for a second set of eyes, or speaking for yourself, or when you need to speak up about workload concerns to ensure patient safety is not compromised. Professionalism and advocacy go hand in hand, maintaining a high standard of conduct that is essential in fostering trust and respect among colleagues and patients alike. Being a professional means consistently demonstrating reliability, competence, and integrity. It's about dressing appropriately, communicating respectfully, and adhering to ethical standards. Advocacy, on the other hand, requires a proactive stance, championing the needs and rights of others while also ensuring your own well-being is not neglected. The dual role is crucial or important in creating a supportive environment where everyone feels valued and empowered. And by embodying professionalism and advocacy, leaders not only enhance their credibility but also inspire others to uphold these values, thereby being able to contribute to a more effective and harmonious healthcare settings. As we move on into key leadership qualities, it is important to recognize that strong leaders are not just born, but they are developed through a blend of essential traits. Okay. Empathy, effective communication, and integrity are the three core qualities that make leadership and management work well because they build trust, reduce confusion, and help teams perform a higher level. Empathy helps leaders understand the feelings, the needs, and perspective of the team members, which makes people feel valued and supported. It also improves conflict handling because leaders can consider multiple viewpoints and find fairer resolution. So in practice, empathic leaders tend to create stronger relationships and a healthier workplace culture. Effective communication, on the other hand, gives employees clarity about goals, roles, and expectations, which reduces mistakes and misunderstandings. It also strengthens teamwork because open communication makes it easier for people to ask questions, share ideas, and solve problems together. Good managers communicate clearly, listen actively, and adapt their message to the audience and situations. Integrity means a leader's actions, words, and values are aligned, and that they are honest, accountable, and consistent. When leaders act with integrity, people are more likely to trust them and stay committed to the team's goals. It also sets the standard for ethical behavior across the organization, which supports a positive and stable work environment. So why do these three work together? These three qualities reinforce one another. Empathy helps leaders understand people, communication helps them guide and align people, and integrity gives those messages credibility. For example, a manager who admits a mistake, explains the situation clearly, and shows concern for those it affects. The team is more likely to maintain trust than one who hides problems or speaks vaguely. Together, they create leadership that is respected, dependable, and human-centered. Okay. Now, building an effective culture is important also for enhancing both morale and productivity within any organization. The key to achieving this lies in fostering open communication. Okay. Encourage team members to share their ideas, concerns, and feedback freely. This not only creates trust, but also ensures that everyone feels heard and valued. Additionally, inclusivity and diversity are important components of a strong team culture. By embracing a wide range of perspectives and backgrounds, you enrich your team with a variety of ideas and solutions, ultimately driving innovations and success. Remember, a healthy workplace culture is not just about individual well-being, but also about collective progress. Strive to create an environment where every team member can succeed and contribute to their fullest. Communication and conflict resolution are critical skills in effective leadership. In this slide, we'll explore how leaders can manage conflicts constructively while still fostering an environment of open communication. Firstly, effective leaders proactively resolve conflicts by engaging in open discussion. This approach not only addresses immediate issues but also prevents future misunderstandings. So how can we do this? First is to identify the root cause. Understanding the underlying reason for the conflict is very important. And by addressing the root cause, you can prevent similar issues from happening in the future. The second is to find a mutually beneficial solution. Aim for a resolution that all parties can agree on. This might require compromise and creativity, but it will foster a sense of fairness and cooperation. Okay? Listen to all perspectives. It's important to give everyone involved a chance to express their views and their feelings. This shows respect and help uncover the full picture of the issue at hand. These steps not only resolve conflicts but also strengthen team dynamics and trust. Okay. When discussing delegation and decision making, it is important to emphasize how these skills contribute to both empowering employees and increasing overall efficiency. Delegation is not just about offloading tasks. It's a strategic tool that helps maximize the team potential by aligning tasks into individual strengths. Okay. Start by outlining the effective delegation framework. First, highlight the importance of identifying each team member's strengths. Saan sila magaling? Which allows for strategic task assignment. This not only plays to the team's skills but also boosts confidence and job satisfaction. Next is to stress the necessity of setting clear expectations. Clear guidelines and deadlines provide decision and help prevent misunderstandings, ensuring that everyone is on the same page. Encourage questions or reflections from the staff or other members on how they currently delegate and make decisions in their teams. This can foster engagement and create a collaborative learning environment. Remember, effective delegation leads to a more dynamic and responsive team, paving the way for better decision-making process. These steps can transform how team operates, which ultimately become the driver to success and growth. Okay, as we wrap up this presentation or this discussion, let's focus on the key takeaways that define strong leadership. Okay. Firstly, remember, strong leadership is a continuous learning process. It requires us to stay adaptable and always keep our people at the heart of what we do. Second, transparent communication is very important. It builds trust within the team and fosters a culture of openness where everyone feels heard and valued. Lastly, focus on developing your leadership skills consistently and work towards building a resilient and motivated team. A motivated team is your strongest asset. These are the cornerstones of effective leadership. Okay? Now, let's quickly acknowledge the references that help us in our discussion for today. These include valuable resources from the American Nurses Association and several esteemed authors in the field of leadership and nursing. Okay? Thank you once again for your attention and participation in this discussion.